Yeah, and apparently, from what I've been told and researched, more people actually like that smaller housing for hunting out west.
Hmm.
So I kind of went the opposite direction that most site companies go, which they go small and then big.
Mhm.
I wanted to go big and then go to smaller housing. Yeah, but mostly that is for target. It's going to have all the same features. It'll be a 31 millimeter size. So that'll probably be coming out sometime this summer. That's going to have two different pin options to it.
Mm.
Just because I can't fit a whole lot in there, but you'll be able to take any of the pins from the 41 millimeter scope and put them into the 30.
Really?
So if you have a triple pin that's set up for you, you can put that in the 31. It's not going to be centered in the housing, but if you look at most sites just in general that are adjustable, like horizontal pins off the side, your pin isn't going to be centered for
Yeah.
most of those. So
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Red.Beard Outdoors podcast. I'm Jonathan, your host, and here at RedBeard Outdoors, I talk about faith, family, fitness, and the outdoors. Those four main pillars run my life, and I'm not perfect in them, but I get to share that journey with you. I get to share great conversations like today on Saturday, where we do the full-length episodes. On Tuesdays, we've got Tinkering Tuesdays, where we talk about gear, items that I've used and doing a review on, or first impressions at times, because there is a distinct difference between those two guys. And with that being said, today I've got an amazing guest, Cody from Dark Owl Archery. You guys definitely want to get to know Cody. He makes amazing scopes, guys. He did this custom scope right here for us over here at the channel. Topo lines, and then it's got the logo right there. And I put a magnifier in here. See if that will. There we go. With the down angle of the pin, just because I'm using this for my target archery setup. So he makes amazing stuff, guys. Definitely go check him out. I'm going to leave the links where you can find Cody down below. Also, guys, during May through the entire rest of the month of May, I'm doing a giveaway of a Garmin, either InReach or Messenger is what I prefer, the Garmin Messenger and the Instinct. So whichever one you prefer, whichever one you want to choose, definitely go check that out down in the links down below. And also over on Instagram, I am doing a BlackOvis over $500 gear giveaway. Get in on that, guys. I want to be able to give back to you and get gear in your hands so you can test it before you get out in the field and make sure you're confident in it. So with that being said, hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Get into this conversation. Tune in. Enjoy it. Thank you so much. Let's get into this conversation with Cody and Dark Owl Archery. Welcome back to the RedBeard Outdoors podcast. I've got Cody here, an awesome guest for you guys, because I've got a lot of questions about this site that I've got, the Dark Owl Archery site, DOA. So you guys, you're really going to love what he's got to offer. And it's not even just in the archery realm. If you're into the gun realm, don't walk away from this, because you definitely want to hear about Cody and what he does. He literally makes these things look like art. And I wouldn't want to shoot him. I'd want to hang him up on the wall. So, but Cody's been doing this for a while. It's a family business from what I understand. And he just absolutely loves archery, loves the outdoors. He loves dogs. He's got a family. He's got a bunch of stuff going on. And I wanted to introduce him to you guys. So with that being said, Cody, for people that don't know who you are you, man?
Hi, Cody, out here in South Dakota. I own Dark Owl Archery, and then my family and we own a business called SD Tactical Arms, where we make custom guns, and we mostly do suppressors. And that's probably 90% of our business is building titanium suppressors. So big into hunting, big into target shooting. Archery is just a passion of mine. If I go a week without it, I feel like something's wrong with my life. But yeah, I just had a son. He just turned 6 months yesterday. And then I've got a couple dogs and building a house. And I just got everything going on and just staying busy. And it's just how life is. And I love it. So Yeah.
That's awesome. No, I love that. And yeah, you definitely are juggling a lot. I feel like a lot of people that um, are people that have high output like you do. Obviously, you've got a
Mhm.
couple things going juggling. You've also got a family and you're building a home, which I don't even want to dabble in that. Like that's that's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing. I don't know
Yeah,
how
and
you
we're
deal with
we're
that.
we're actually building this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife and I and my dad helps us out. And yeah, we're the general contractors and we're doing a good chunk of the work. So yeah, it takes up a lot of weekends. So
I was gonna say it's one of those things that I know building a house in general and having a general contractor is frustrating as is because there's
oh
always hoops to hop through and there's always codes and all this other stuff that you have to deal with. Now you're doing it yourself. That's a whole
oh
nother
yeah.
realm.
Oh yeah. I don't
Yeah, no,
suggest
that's
it.
awesome. You thought it was a good idea at one point though, obviously. That's why you're doing it, right?
I mean, sweat equity is great. I mean, I'm saving myself a bunch of money, but I'm giving myself a bunch of headache. So
Hmm.
take what you can, I guess. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's something my dad always told me. He was like, either make enough money to pay for someone to do it or learn how to do it yourself. One of the two. Like
yeah,
it's not you can't yeah.
it's easier to just make more money.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, that's awesome. So let's dive into so I guess the family business was SD Tactical
Yep.
and that's mainly firearms. You do suppressors, but you've sent me some pictures of some amazing work you've done on shotguns and other in rifles and things that you've etched into. I'm going to use the wrong phrasing here, but it's art. It really is.
Yeah.
And for people that don't understand that, I recommend I'll leave the link down below to go look at your site of some work that you guys have done. But you do great work. So walk us through kind of that and how you got introduced to that as a as it being a family business.
Yeah, so man, just over 10 years ago, I was going to school for physics at UW La Crosse, Wisconsin, originally from Wisconsin. And my dad just started this business, SD Tactical Arms, and they decided they wanted to move to Arizona. Well, all my dad's employees were going to make the move
Hmm.
and then decided like last minute not to. So I dropped out of college from physics and I started doing machining and doing design work and stuff like that. And I just kind of built my base more and more. And then probably like 5 or 6 years ago, started doing like custom handguards for ARs and really just found a love for like taking a design and making it into metal,
Mm.
and that really transitioned me. And then really this last year we got this laser engraver and learned how to do that and do some really cool stuff with that. And I mean, what you see on my sites is just etching, whereas on the guns I do like full on deep engraving. Like it's got texture to it, you can feel the edges and feel all that, and just it it gives a really nice look to it once you paint it and do all that stuff. So you can really get creative with it, and that's what I love about it. Is just taking an idea in my head and putting it on metal.
No, that makes sense. It really is. I mean, it's a cool idea that you guys have going on and things that you do.
Mhm.
Like how do you justify shooting these works of art? Because they really are. Like I seriously, they're things that I would want as like an heirloom item to hang up or like put in a gun, not a gun safe, but a gun. What's the glass front ones called? I forgot what those are called, but
A cabinet, gun cabinet.
yeah, gun cabinet.
Yeah.
Something that looks pretty, something that you can show off. It's a timeless piece kind of deal. But you guys encourage people to use them and you'd prefer that people use them. So
Oh yeah.
how do you justify that? Like I
Well, I mean, think about your grandfather's old 30 or his old 30-06
Mhm.
that has seen the mountains, seen, you know, these different elk kills that he experienced through his life. That brings brings you back to that point too. So it's not, I mean, you can have a really cool looking piece, but if you don't use it, it doesn't maintain a sentimental value to it. So if you actually use it, kill something with it, and you can bring back that memory to it, to me, that's something more important.
Makes sense. Um, so with that being said, the idea that you guys, what you guys have done with the guns, you moved over to what would be, I guess, well, you moved over to archery, but let me back up a little bit here. How did you, like, what were you going to school for with your physics class? What was that about?
I was just going to go to school for physics and probably transition over to engineering, probably more or less electrical, because
Mm,
that was my background in the military. Um, I worked on radar systems in the military, and that's just something I have a grasp on.
hmm.
More or less digital electronics, circuit boards, computers, stuff along that
Yeah,
lines.
no, that makes sense.
So yeah, I was going to transition into that, and I've always been a mechanical guy, just in general. Worked on my own cars, built some really cool cars throughout the years. That's just something I love to do too. But I just metal wise, I love putting things into metal and changing the value and the look of it and making it something that is truly like worth something to someone personally and not just like the value of the metal
Hmm.
itself.
Well, that makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, you were going to school for that, and then you transitioned. Why? Like, a lot of people don't want to get into family businesses, or, you know, I mean, you made a big sacrifice with what you were going to do versus getting into the family business and helping your dad out where he wanted to move to Arizona. Some of the employees didn't. So you started, kind of helping out with the company in that way. Uh, what what helped you make that decision, or what encouraged that decision for you versus continuing down your path?
Um, I think it was because I got back from my first deployment and I just, you know, college is college and I just I like working. I rather work than go to school. I just
Hmm.
get bored with it. Um, I would say I moved there because family needed help. And to me, to me, family and time is more important than money in any way, shape, or form. The only reason I work is to be able to have time and money to spend with my family. So that's really why.
Oh, that's awesome. And again, that's a big decision for a lot of people to think about. Giving up
Hmm.
what you had, your dream for the future for family. That takes a lot of dedication. That takes a lot of love and respect. Obviously, you're passionate about it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be making such great, pieces of work that you do. But you took that, and then you realized, you have these skills, you have the tools that you could start getting into archery, which you've been in archery for a while, but you wanted to start building things in the archery scene. So
Right.
what got you encouraged to get into, because the site market is just saturated, right? There's old companies, there's companies coming in that's new. What got you started down the path of making your sites? And it's called the Stealth 41, correct?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. What
That's the one
got
I
you down
have
that
right
path?
now. I will be coming out with a smaller version here this year, so look out for that.
Sweet.
Um, yeah, I mean, I started bow hunting at super early age, 12, killed my first deer, tree stand by myself. So I've always had a passion for archery, and especially in Arizona, the only way you can hunt every year is archery. So that kind of led me down the path of loving it even more and getting really involved into it. Um, and really, I just looked at what I did in the firearms industry and what I continue to do in firearms industry. And I was like, nobody has something like this in the archery industry. everybody in the archery industry is too worried about warranties, too worried about resale value, and all this stuff to me that is like, does it really matter? Like, yeah, warranty is something which I offer a lifetime warranty on my stuff. You want to mess around with your stuff, paint it yourself, do your own engraving, I'll still warranty that stuff. Why? Because the point of these things is to find out what suits you. And if I put that restraint on somebody, I'm really just limiting them to what, their passion is. So I really wanted to take something like that, make it more personal, make things personal to an archer. And you don't get better with your gear if you just pick it up, use it, and then sell it. So if you have something that is going to like stick with you because it's yours, you're going to get better with it. So that's a big aspect for me, is just being like proficient with your gear that you have instead of trying to chase the next best thing. So even though I buy like a new bow every year, but that's just because I do.
Well, and the bow that you've got, man, that thing was sick. I saw it at, the ATA show, and he's got
Mhm.
a Matthews lift, but he did a custom Cerakote job on it to where it looks like the night sky,
Yeah,
basically.
you're
It's got like
like,
some purple and black, and let's see if we can,
this
yeah.
is this is the scope for it that matches it. So
Oh man.
yeah, I mean, I've always been a like space guy. I love that stuff. So that was just something I've always wanted to do. So, and
That's really
I
cool.
pretty much paint all my bows just
Mhm,
because, like I said, I don't care about resale value. I, I just want something that I like.
mhm.
So most people tend to like it anyways. So it's not too big a deal, but
Well, because it's
yeah,
one of a kind, it stands out. It's different. It's not the same as everyone
right,
else. Yeah.
right.
No, that's really cool. That is awesome. So you took that knowledge, the machining, the tools, and everything that you've got, and you put it into these sites. So people have seen this one, but I'll show it again. This is the first Phorm outdoors with some topo lines, and then it's got my logo over here on this side. You did an outstanding job. I took the hood off. We were talking about this beforehand. There's a hood that comes on here that you can adjust based on lighting. I took it off just for indoor. There's a couple different options there that we'll talk about, but let's break down the site and why, because this thing is very well machined. The people at the bow shop, when I took it in to get this on the target rig, they were very impressed with the machining, how durable it is, how tight the tolerances are, and then a couple of the features that we'll break down here. But what what in your mind, top three things makes your scope stand apart from any other scope that someone could go out there and buy today?
Um, yeah, I would say probably the number one thing is options.
Mm,
I mean, all my sites are, or scopes, sorry, all my scopes are built to order and
mhm,
they're done to your specs. And probably the biggest thing with that is my triple pin system, which, if you look at this triple pin is different than the one that's in this scope. And the reason being is a a stagnant pin is always going to be more reliable. If something can't move, it's going to be more reliable. So I went with a triple pin system that is based off of your sight tape. So there's 5 different versions of that pin that will line up with most hunting rigs. So if you're shooting 280 feet per second with a 30-inch draw, I'll probably have a pin that fits that, so you can have a 20, 30, 40. Same if the guy with a 310 foot per second bow shooting 28 inches, I have something that's going to line up with it. Just because at those distances, you don't need a ton of variance in it.
mm.
and most archers aren't going to see it. And for a hunting situation, if you're like an inch high or inch low, for a stagnant pin system, that's pretty solid. Most people don't have that type of stuff. So that's probably the biggest thing, is that triple
Yeah.
pin system. The next is to be able to change out the backing. Like you can remove this back, you can toss in a single pin, you can toss in like a different triple pin if you want. It takes a minute to do. Pull it out, pop in the new one, you're good to go. And with that, like you said, my tolerances are super tight, so you're not going to have to change your point of impact. So I am really big on, if you're going to make something, you should make it right the first time, because then you don't have to warranty it. And that's kind of the most expensive thing with manufacturing, just in general, is fixing your mistakes. So if you can do it right the first time, then you don't have to deal with those warranty works and whatnot. So that's why this thing is built pretty. I don't want to say stout, because every time somebody thinks of something that's stout, they think of it as blocky and just doesn't look good. But I kind of combine aesthetics and durability with this
Mhm.
scope to make that something that is going to withstand hard impacts and not be like a freaking brick. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. No, I love it. And so can you order, if you just get the housing, say you get the full Stealth 41, and then you
Mhm.
want a custom 3-pin, maybe you've got one set up for whitetail that's a heavier arrow, and then maybe you've got another setup for when you go out west that's a lighter arrow. Can you swap out the 3 pins, get maybe 2 custom 3-pin setups, but only pay for the pin portion of, or I guess this portion that pulls
Yeah.
out and has the pin in it? Can you do that?
Yep, that's the scope back,
Sweet.
and you can
Yeah.
choose whatever pin you want in it, um, and that can be a quick swap. Otherwise, you can buy just the pin itself, and that's kind of something that if you're going to like switch once a year type of
Mhm.
deal. Otherwise, if you want to do the quick swapping, just the scope back is the way to go. So
Perfect. No, I love that. And then I guess so I'd say that those are definitely some great features that make it, stand out. And I would agree, it's not it's definitely not blocky. It's very, it's elegant, it's smooth. The lines, I mean, even sometimes when you get stuff that's laser engraved, like this, then you look at it and you're like, oh, there's some flaws here. But honestly, this thing is just it's gorgeous. It really is. So, I always tell people, when you can find something that works really well, works as good as it looks, then that's always a win. That's
right,
something, because you want things to look good, no matter what people say. Like for example, there's certain bows that I don't like because the way they look. They work amazing. They're awesome bows. They shoot great. But for me, I'm like, I want the bow that I like,
right.
and kind of like what you were saying about how you paint yours. You're like, I don't care what anyone else thinks. This is what I want. And what's
Mhm.
funny is that usually ends up being what other people want, because you can
Right,
come up with some pretty cool ideas.
right.
Um, but let's talk a little bit about this. So we talked about the single pin and the triple pin. Mine has a lens in it, so you guys will probably see that reflection there.
Yep,
But this is for my indoor setup, and I put it at an angle from, let's see, I'm backwards here. Yeah, from the top right down to the center. So let's talk through that a little bit. I was joking before we got on here, but when people have asked me about that just through Instagram and pictures and stuff, they're like, "Well, why do you do that?" I'm like, "Because the bow tech that's been working on my bow since I started archery suggested it, and the guy that makes the site suggested it, and both of them have a lot more experience in archery than I do. So for target archery, I'm going to use that, and it seems to be working really well.
right.
I'm not shooting 300s yet. I'll get there, but but
It
uh, but
takes time.
I feel like I'm shooting pretty well for the setup, and with my level of experience. Why would someone want to come in from an angle, top right, top left, etc.? Explain that for people.
Right. So the human eye is really crazy, and it's really cool when you look at the science behind a lot of this stuff. But you have nerve clusters in the back of your eye where certain people it's going to be drawn to one side over the other. And what you're trying to do with that is draw away from that nerve cluster in your eye. And what that really does is that where that is in your eye is going to be the tendency of where you're going to miss. So let's say for most people, you're going to miss low if your pin is straight up and down. That's just a tendency. People are going to drop their bow arm. They can't see that area, so their tendency is going to miss low. So with certain people, with your Phorm, if you're pushing through that shot, depending on where your body naturally pushes, because of your eye, of where your eye wants it to go, that's where you want the pin to be, because then your tendency to miss in that region is going to be less, if that makes sense. So yeah. And another thing is with that pin, it's perfectly centered in there because majority of your nerve clusters in your eye are right behind your eye and centered, and everything with your eyes just in general wants to be centered. When you focus on something, you're focusing more on the center versus a peripheral. So it becomes a more natural thing for your body to center that pin and get that to where it is. Then you're able to focus on most of that area that your eye can see the best at with that pin angle where your body naturally wants to push. So when you combine all those things, your body is going to have a tendency to push it in the direction that you want it to. So,
Yeah,
and
no, that makes
everybody's
sense.
different. Everybody's different. So
What
that's
you
why
have
having
different,
those
you have, what is it, nine, one,
8.
how many different, 8 different positions.
Yep.
So there's 8 different positions. I don't know if people can see those little screws in there, but you can see where you can rotate it around and make it the spot that you want it. So you can have it coming from the side if you're a person that prefers it from the side, down from an angle, down right, straight up and down, up left. Like there's a whole bunch of different angles that you can put this on. And it really is simple. It's just an Allen key, and the little housing rotates, so the back of it rotates to whatever position you're wanting to put it in. So
Yeah. Plus, it's
uh,
always fun to play with because, like, same with bows. Like, if you look at it, you don't know what you like until you try something that you find out that you don't like. So if you always shoot an up pin, you're never going to know if that's the best you can shoot is with up pin. If you have an angle pin and you're like, crap, I can't shoot this worth crap, then you know that's not the position that works best for you. So you have to fail and you have to find out what makes you fail before you can improve on stuff.
exactly. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And then, of course, you've got different, you've got the lenses you can put in there, which I've put one in based on the recommendation that you gave. I did a 4-power. And then the bubble, too. So the bubble is another feature that I really like. It's very reactive
Yeah,
and
it's
it's very
very
large.
sensitive.
Yeah, it is. So it'll let you know, like, I mean, I'm barely turning it at all, and it's definitely letting you know where you're at. So that's a very big bubble there at the bottom. And then, of course, and are you able to move that bubble to the top if you're one of those, if you're
Yeah.
people that like the top bubble?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. You
Yep. So
can.
there's the little pin right here.
Yep. And that also makes it ambidextrous. So you could flip that whole thing around. And if
Mm.
you're left handed, it's the same exact scope. So,
Oh, that's awesome. Well, sweet. Well, I mean, those are definitely, and then of course the custom engraving guys. Like again, I'm going to highlight that you can reach out to Cody and let him know, what you're wanting. Don't steal his outer space ideas.
I mean, if
That thing's pretty
somebody,
intricate.
yeah, actually, I have that tattooed on my
Hmm.
forearm, and my buddy drew that from
Oh,
way
that's
back in
awesome.
the day. So, I, like I said, I make things personal to me. So, but yeah, I can do all kinds of stuff like that. And I like doing those intricate designs. I like putting like little things in there. Like I put up all kinds of different stars in different positions and stuff, and really just like make that detailed in there. So to me, that's fun. More fun than just picking out just like some pattern off the internet and pasting
Mhm.
it on there. But I mean, everybody likes different stuff, and I'm not going to hold that against anybody. But
Yeah, no, for sure. So I guess talk to us a little bit more about like dark owl things that maybe, obviously you've got the Stealth 41. Is there anything else that you're teasing right now that you're, obviously you just mentioned the smaller housing.
yeah,
So there's going to be a smaller housing coming out. Is that more for, I guess, target people? It seems like more target people use a smaller housing.
yeah, and I apparently, from what I've been told and researched, more people actually like that smaller housing for hunting out west.
Hmm.
So um, I kind of went the opposite direction that most site companies go, which they go small and then big. Um,
Hmm.
I wanted to go big and then go to smaller housing. Yeah, but mostly that is for target. It's going to have all the same features. It'll be a 31 millimeter size. So that'll probably be coming out sometime this summer. That's going to have two different pin options to it,
Hmm.
just because I can't fit a whole lot in there. But you'll be able to take any of the pins from the 41 millimeter scope and put them into the 31.
Really?
So if you have a triple pin that's set up for you, you can put that in the 31. It's just it's not going to be centered in the housing, but if you look at most sites just in general that are adjustable, like horizontal pins off the side, your pin isn't going to be centered for
Yeah.
most of those. So especially the top pin won't be. I don't know of anybody that has that, and I don't know of anybody that has a 31 millimeter triple pin. I don't. I don't know of anybody that has one, but that's a pretty small
Mhm.
size to pack a lot in there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you offer 19ths and 10ths as well, right?
Yeah. I will be coming out with 31. It's just going to be 15 thou. Kind of meet that in between, just because I'm finding most like dealers don't want to stock a bunch of different pin selections and all that. Um, but it's a good in between. I find that I really like that size just in general. So it's a good in between that I think it'll adhere to most people just in
Hmm.
general.
No, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool. And that's definitely exciting for, for you to be able to bring that line as well. And I haven't really delved into your website a ton. Is there other items that you are wanting to highlight or things that you've got going on with Dark Owl? Or is it mainly the Stealth 41
Yeah,
for
it's
right now?
mainly the scopes right now. I dabble in other small things too. But mostly the custom scopes. I have accessories for it, like I have a triple pin indicator
Hmm.
for the Excel landslide that matches up with the pin that you selected.
Hmm.
And then I have my own scope barrels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's cool. That makes sense. And sorry, what do you say scope barrels? What do you mean by that?
yeah, so this right here, this is a
Hmm.
scope barrel.
Okay.
That's what, yep. And with mine, I'm really big on writing things down just because if you ask my wife especially, I'm the most forgetful person in the world. But so I numbered all mine. That way
Look,
you know.
it's not that you forgot, it's that you were thinking about pronghorn or the house being
Oh,
built or all the other million things that are going through your mind whenever she's talking to you, unfortunately. I have
yeah.
that happen sometimes too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
babe, text me. I will remember it if it's written down. I feel you on
Oh,
that one.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a daily occurrence. Everybody
Hmm.
tells me things and I'm like, you're talking to the wrong guy. You have to write this down for me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome.
But
But no, so you were saying that you like to write down things for the barrel.
yeah, no, I mean just like my settings in general. I'll have like a notebook and I'll write things down. Like my rest, I'll take measurements on my rest, write that down. Like if I'm shooting a certain foot per second, I'll have that number written down. That way I can look back in like 3 months and be like, hey, has anything changed on my setup? Especially if you're traveling and stuff like that. If you really write things down and keep consistent, you're going to find out if something is messed up with your gear or if it's you. And 90% of the time it's you, but that 10% of the time you just want to make sure that it's not your gear.
Hey guys, pardon the brief interruption here. Just want to remind you of a couple things. One of the partners of the show, company that I work with here, greatly appreciate everything they do is First Phorm and First Phorm Outdoors. One in the same company. I mainly work with the First Phorm Outdoors branch of the company because that just meshes and aligns with you guys, my audience, and my personal beliefs and standards line up everything with First Phorm, but mixed with the outdoors. It's just something else, guys. So I want to invite you to come and join us over on the First Phorm Outdoors Facebook group. Also, guys, if you haven't tried any of the First Phorm products, leave a comment down below, send me a message, whatever it may be if you have questions on it. But there's a 110% money back guarantee. So although you may not be able to get hands-on in a store, there is basically no risk. I can't say there's no risk because I don't know what that would cover. Someone's going to catch me on that. But basically no risk. 110% money back guarantee. You take a scoop out, you don't like it, you can message customer support. They're actually responsive. You'll have a response generally within 24 hours, if not 48 hours at the most. And it's a real person helping you figure out what you need. So go check out First Phorm. The link is down below where you can get free shipping on any order other than energy drinks. Anything over $75. Let me know if you have any questions. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And of course, let's get back to this conversation with Cody and Dark Owl Archery. Right. No, yeah, I could definitely understand that. That makes sense. Yeah, and I could be more diligent about that for sure. I think most people probably could. But yeah, I'm like, well, if it's not hitting, I just adjust. It's kind of funny. I've got a side tape right now on one of my bows. Well, I guess the bow right here that I've been using for, I had a certain arrow set up, and then I was like, well, I'm going to try this lighter arrows. They're like 50 grains lighter. And I was like, nah, we'll start with like 5 foot per second, or, 5 yards on the tape. I'll guesstimate that it's going a little 5 yards hot. And it happened to be that, but then I stretched it out to 60 and I was like 8 yards hot, so it just, it's fun, but I could do so much better at writing things down instead of just like keeping it in my head and then going back and be like, I think that was 5 or 6 yards. Yeah, we'll just guess. Like that's why I'm not shooting 400s right now in league, on league night, because I'm out there having fun with the guys and just saying like I think it's 5 or 6 yards, something like that, and dial in and go. But yeah, it's that's a good idea to write things down and be able to go back later and check it out. So what, I guess you're still part of SD Tactical, obviously. And you said you do titanium suppressors, you do, laser engraving and etch work on firearms. What, I guess, walk us through suppressors, your titanium suppressors, because I've never heard of them until Jake brought it up to me. What, I don't even know what question to ask really on it. Walk us through your titanium suppressors. Like, what do you make them for? 22 caliber, 30 caliber?
So I make everything from 22 up to 50 caliber. In fact, I have a 50 cal can that's 16 inches long with a big old break on it. It's titanium, 100% titanium. And it's actually one of for what it is, it's great pricing and very light. So, and then, I make a 30 cal, 30 cal suppressors, 5.56 suppressors, 300 like ultra mag type suppressors, really, we make it all with that. And we have a monocore system, so we take a full chunk of titanium and we basically mill everything out in it, and then it goes into a sleeve, and then we make our own mounts and stuff. Everything we make is in house. So we actually probably have, I would say, probably the cheapest titanium suppressor that you could probably get. Um, it's 11.1 ounces. It comes with a half by 28 and 5/8 by 24 mount. It's 8 inches overall length, and it retails for $550.
Really?
So yeah, so it's about half the cost of going to these big, places, and it's because we don't have that overhead cost. And one thing that kind of aggravates me with certain industries, especially the archery industry, is people assume that if you pay a lot of money, you're getting the best thing. And really, that's not the case, because you have like small mom and pop places that make things that are awesome, but you won't ever hear about it just because it's not like this giant company. And they're priced, very competitively, but people assume that it's not the best because it's not the most expensive. And there is something to be said about that. If you price, you know, low, people assume that it's cheap or bad, which that's not true. Like comparing my scope to my competitor, I'm not going to name any names. Everybody probably knows who it is. My stuff is made in the U.S. and it's cheaper. 99% of everything on the scope is made in the US. The only thing that is not, just because I can't find anything manufactured in the US, is the bubble level. That's it. So to be
We don't
able
make
to,
bubble levels in the US.
not that I can find, and if
Wow.
anybody
And I'm not
anybody
saying that to
knows,
like be negative or anything, but I'm like, that blows my mind. Like
yeah,
it seems like a little glass tube or plastic, whatever they use, and
yep,
some green liquid, and you can't make that here in the US. That blows my mind.
yeah. If somebody has a place that makes them, please send it my way so I can make this thing 100% in the US, because that would just be great. But yeah, I make everything in the U.S. My specs are super tight because coming from the suppressor side of it, you're dealing with all kinds of pressure. Very dangerous. I mean, if you don't make it right, it can be very dangerous. So
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to like quality stuff, it needs to be spot on. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Wow. That's crazy. Maybe they could take that $200 tax stamp and, fund a business that could make levels in the US. That'd be nice.
right. They Well, actually, right now probably is the best time to buy a suppressor just in general, because I've had 3 or 4 dealers now say that they're getting stuff back within weeks,
Yeah.
which it's usually 6 to 9 months, uh, just depending on who does it. But yeah, to get it back that quickly is pretty. I don't want to say impressive because ATF,
For the government,
but
it's impressive.
right, that they can actually get something done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I'll just make a joke and say I'm glad they didn't forget about it. Okay. The way their memory
they
is.
do.
But
They
oh
do.
yeah. Oh yeah. It's very, very convenient. It's that's crazy. That's crazy that I mean, it's literally like half the price of, I'm gonna have to send my dad your way because he's been looking and he was like, I was telling him about some titanium suppressors that I had seen. And um so you guys don't 3D print them. You guys mill them out.
No, no, they're actually, yeah, they're milled from a
Okay.
solid chunk of titanium. And I mean, noise level wise, they compare to all the brands that are twice the cost.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
I don't have that overhead cost
Right.
because
Right.
we're just a family owned business. We sell pretty much direct to consumer. Same with the scopes. It's
Mhm.
just me. I don't have somebody building my sight or building the scopes or anything like that. When you order it, the only hands that are touching it are mine. So that's why I mean, it's priced where it's at because of that. Because I make it a, a fair price on it that I can keep continuing to do this
Yeah.
without, you know, pretty much gouging a customer for what it
Right.
is. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. There's a fine balance between that and going homeless. So
yeah, right,
yeah, going in
right,
the negative for it. But no, it's I mean, you do amazing work. I'm gonna have to go and check out your suppressors now because I'm getting in the market for that, especially at 22 for the kids. I mean, that just changes the game for kids, like the fact that they don't have to wear hearing protection or anything like that, to be able to go and go and shoot with you. That changes it and makes it more comfortable for them, and they get to have a lot of fun. Like they do with archery, where there's no hearing protection involved. You just get to go out and shoot. So that's really cool. I'm just trying to think here. There
you'll
was
never
another
want to
question.
shoot without one
Oh yeah,
again,
yeah. And what
ever.
blows my mind too is like apparently there's some countries in Europe that consider it rude to not have a suppressor
Yeah,
because it's
and
so firearms are so loud.
yeah,
Here we're like, oh no, you might be James Bond and try and turn into an assassin if you've got one.
right.
Like it's just kind of
They
silly
they
in
don't
that
work like
regard.
that. They don't
Yeah,
work
yeah,
like
they're
that.
not that quiet. I mean, I
No.
could say if you have a 22 or a 300 blackout, that's like the proper I don't even know the terms here, but it's got the proper amount of powder in it. So subsonic
Yep.
and with a good suppressor, you can get pretty dang quiet.
Yeah.
And there's one 22 that I've heard that literally like it was louder, the slide racking back was louder than the
Hmm.
suppressor, than the gun firing. But that is a very rare case, and that's not really something that you'd go and turn into an assassin with.
Right. Right.
It's like basically a glorified BB gun at that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's cool. So anything else that you wanted to highlight or hit on? Because I feel like we've hit on the site pretty well, and um, really excited about that smaller one coming out as well for the people interested in that.
I don't think so. I mean, this is like this is a passion for me. Just in general. Like when someone orders something, and my favorite thing is when I get a text or I get a message on Instagram after they killed something with it and they're just like all ecstatic with it because I kind of feel like I'm a part of that because I supplied some equipment for them to use. Uh, really, I'm not, but to me, I feel like that's awesome. I love hearing back from people that they're successful with it. So to yeah, that's just something fun. I have a guy in
Yeah.
Australia that's killed dozens of animals with it and
Oh, that's cool.
he sends me pictures all the time. I'm like, man, this is so cool. It just feels good that someone using your product is being successful. So
Yeah. No, I would agree, and I would say you definitely do have you play a part in that because they're picking your gear, and your gear is holding up to the elements. I mean, anything Mother Nature touches, at some point it's going to start deteriorating or get beat
right.
up or whatever. And so the fact that yours one is being chosen for those tough adventures, and obviously Australia is not a very forgiving country. Um, for them to be able to go out and utilize it over and over and over again and not having any issues, and the finish holding up, and the pins not loosening and things like that, all of that matters
Mhm.
and is very important. So I would say you do definitely have a role to play in their success because again, your gear, like I'm sure you could shoot without a sight, but they chose your sight to go on those hunts and or go target shooting or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
and that's a big deal. So that's awesome, and that's cool that
Yeah.
you've got international customers.
Yeah. Yeah. I ship to most international countries. And I'm super like responsive on Instagram or phone call. If you have any questions about my stuff, you just give me a call. If you ever had any issues with your stuff, just give me a call and I'll answer. To me, that's kind of one of the most important things, is just being there for my customers if they have questions or concerns or anything like that. Um, because this is your equipment, and like, if there's a problem with it, or if you want to make sure it's 100% set up correct, you know, if you have somebody there that can help you through that can really make a big impact for you to teach somebody else too. So.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, is there anything else you want to hit on before we wrap up here?
No, I think we covered it all, man.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate your time, and everyone out there listening, definitely go check out Dark Owl Archery. It is, again, amazing products. Something you definitely want to check out. It goes from everything from target to hunting, and then of course the other brand and business that you're involved in, SD Tactical. If you're into the gun side of things, or you're looking at suppressors, you heard it here. Titanium suppressor, 11 ounces. 500 and something bucks, and that's really cheap compared to most things on the market. So, and obviously I trust Cody. Cody does great work, and his family has obviously been doing it for a while. So you can trust that you're going to get a high quality piece of equipment. So everything from archery to guns, guys, go and check Cody's stuff out. I'm going to leave the links down below where you can find his products and get a hold of Cody as well. And again, thanks so much, Cody, for coming on. And like I always say, guys, get out, live your life, and love it.
Awesome. Have a good one.
All right, just wrapped up that conversation. Hope you enjoyed it. Cody is a wealth of knowledge. He loves working with metal. He loves archery. He loves guns. He's a 2A guy. Whatever you want to call it, he loves the outdoors and shooting things and having a blast making things works of art. So not just making things explode, blow up, and shooting things through the air. His pieces, guys, his bows, his rifles that he makes, the scopes. I mean, come on, guys. This thing right here, that is a freaking work of art. Come on. The attention to detail. He just does a fantastic job. I can't recommend it enough, guys. This scope is awesome. Cody is an amazing individual. I'm going to leave all the links down below where you can find Cody and everything that he has to offer. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. And guys, I want to remind you that if you're listening to this the day it comes out, I definitely recommend going and checking out what First Form's got going on. Everything from supplements to nutrition to the app that can help you track, get you on your goals and on your way to achieving those goals. But also right now they're doing a sweepstakes for an antelope hunt. Guys, that experience, I'm jealous of anyone that gets that experience. It's going to be awesome. Definitely check it out. All that information is going to be down in the description below. Get entered. That's all I can say. Get entered. And pay attention, guys, because I have some things going on as well. Some giveaways. We've got the BlackOvis giveaway over on Instagram that runs through the end of May. I'm also giving away a Garmin, either an Instinct or the Garmin Messenger, to be able to communicate through satellite via messaging to your loved ones while you're out hunting elk this fall or wherever else it may be that you are. So if you want to get entered on any of those, there's sweepstakes giveaways going on right now. Check out the description down below. Subscribe, leave a comment, like this video, and hope you have a fantastic rest of your weekend. And to all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day tomorrow being Sunday. Thank you so much for everything, guys. Have a great one. And of course, get out, live your life, and love it.